our consistent Division K table topic champion, and also first runner-up of District 75 Table Topics Contest, our area director from Division K Area 1, and a proud member of Amplion Xperia Toastmaster Club. And he is currently working as a director for customer satisfaction quality management systems and business continuity management in Amplion Philippines, which is a semiconductor manufacturing company, a Toastmaster with the norms of competent communicator, advanced leader bronze and effective coaching level 4, certified coach, speaker, teacher, and trainer of John Maxwell team. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our trainer for today, Toastmaster Julius Cruz.
So in a table topics contest, we will be judged according to the following criteria. So content is king. Content will be 55%, and content involves the speech development, opening body and closing, and the effectiveness. Content will be then followed by delivery at 30%, wherein the appearance, the body language, the physical component of delivering a speech, and the voice, the vocal variety and flexibility shall be assessed. Thereafter, the language, 15% will be considered by the judges, which is composed of the appropriateness of the language to the speech purpose and to the audience, and the correctness of the grammar, pronunciation, and word selection. So let's keep these criteria in mind as we view the video that's about to come, this video presentation. All right. Now, in this video presentation, Toastmaster David was asked the question, how did Toastmasters give you the confidence to promote your gaming app? Now, try to listen to his answer using the lens of a table topics judge and using the criteria that we have just discussed recently. Here goes.
I went in the Army as a combat medic, did that for 3 years, was in Iraq 2005 as a medic. That was a big way to get outside of my comfort zone and grow as a person. And when I got out of Toastmasters, I had the confidence to try other things because I thought, well, if I could take care of soldiers in a combat zone, maybe I could sure enough do this or do this. Currently, I run my company, Color Switch LLC and Color Switch Productions, and so I run those. I'm the CEO of both of those. And Toastmasters has helped me in that I've done a lot of PR for my game Color Switch because it blew up. Became the most downloaded game this year on the app stores. We're closing in on 100 million downloads, and so it's just been crazy. And so I've done a lot of live shows, a lot of podcasts, different interviews, magazines, and all that. And how Toastmasters has helped me with that is, I mean, you wouldn't think games and public speaking go together, but yes, they do when you have a popular game. And so every time I do one of these interviews, I'm not nervous to, be on television or to do it, whatever the format is. Well, I would say public speaking is one of the most important skills to have because it's one of those skills that's very universal in how you can apply it. And you never know what situation you'll be in to where you'll need to use it. Toastmasters is a very safe environment where you're there to practice and learn this skill and use it in the real world. So I would say Toastmasters is a safe haven. It's also one of those things that I think every time you go outside of your comfort zone, and most people don't, but if you step outside your comfort zone, it stretches you as a person, it forces you to grow. And if you are one of the few people who do that with this, then it's going to change your life in a variety of ways that you couldn't anticipate.
All right, so this time I will stop sharing and let us know wear the hat of a table topics contest judge. Now I will be asking from you 3 strengths from the speaker and 3 OFIs or opportunities for improvement. So I would like to request you to please unmute your microphones and please just say aloud 1 strength. The first strength that you observed from the speaker. Anyone?
Strength? His strength, confidence.
Yes?
His confidence.
His confidence. Yeah, he was very confident. He really composed himself and owned himself. Thank you very much. Two more strengths.
Speech structure. He speak clearly.
He spoke clearly. Yeah, that's correct.
Yes.
Thank you very
Very
much.
clearly.
Yeah, so we have 2 out of 3. One more for the strength, please.
Good content. Great content.
Great content. I love that. I love that. Yes, his content was really from his own experience, from what he was doing. Thank you very much, Toastmasters, for those answers. Now let's go to the other side of the coin. Please share with us 3 points for improvement for the speaker.
He could have had a more powerful ending, I would say.
Wow, great. Yeah, he could have had a more powerful ending. So in table topics, we say start with a hook, end with a bang, right? Thank you very much, Tim Evie. Anything more?
I guess
OFIs, opportunities for improvement? Yeah.
he should have used some quotations to emphasize his points.
Sorry, can you say that again, please?
Quotations.
Quotations, yeah. I think a quotation would have worked well. He could have started his piece through a quotation that best describes his entire experience on the benefits of Toastmasters in terms of confidence building. That's great. Can I have a last one in terms of OFI, opportunity for improvement for the speaker?
His hands were cut off much of the time. Part of his hands was showing and part of them weren't.
Yes, that's a very, very good observation, very attentive to detail. In a virtual environment, when most probably our contests will still be done virtually, as I have read from Toastmasters International, it is very important that we are very sensitive to our stage, which is the frame of our camera. So all hand gestures should be within the frame so that the judge and the listeners can see our purposeful gestures. Wow, I am amazed with your answers. I think you are ready. No need for this learning session. But yeah, it's one way to prepare for the contest. Try to prepare from the lens of the judge and see what you should consider in order to consistently win the Table Topics contest. Okay? Are you excited to continue? Can I hear a yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That is just the dessert. Okay, now let's go to the main course. Now let me share my screen again. So coming from that, okay, we will now go to the learning session proper, okay? And with that, I would like to switch my screen a little bit and go to the meat of our learning session for today. So I am excited to journey with you as together we learn how to consistently, and emphasis on the word consistently, win in table topics contests. They say that for you to really be an expert on a particular field, you should be able to consistently provide the desired results. That's why I put emphasis here on the word consistently. Because you can win the contest once, that's good, but it would be best if you can really make it a habit and make winning a habit through the proper observance of table topics speaking skills. Now, my sharing will be coming from my own experience because personally, modesty aside, I would say this is a proven strategy. And how am I able to say that this is a proven strategy? First, through God's grace and power, I was able to win the 2018 Table Topics Division K contest as champion. I did the same. I won the championship in the 2019 Table Topics Division K Table Topics contest, speech contest. And I was able to once again win it just this year, 2020. Now, coming from this experience, I was able to bring it to the next higher level by winning in the 2019 District 75 Table Topics speech contest as first runner-up. So you can see here the trophy, okay, for that contest. And in 2020, I also won first runner-up in the Table Topics District Speech Contest. but I have yet to receive my trophy, and they told me it will be sent as an email attachment. Okay, all right, just kidding. So all this, of course, made possible because of God's grace and power. But as they say, God helps those who help themselves. So my role right now is to supplement God's grace and power by sharing with you what I think is a proven strategy that made possible all of these achievements. So as empowered by the grace and power of God. So coming from that, we shall cover the following topics, okay? We shall be going to some fundamentals because I firmly believe personally that the key to be consistent in anything in life is to be consistent with the fundamentals. There is a certain process that you should adhere to so that you can consistently achieve your goals. So coming from that philosophy, I shall start with the golden question, followed by once again sharing with you the power of a transformational impromptu speech. Because more than winning trophies and medals, the true essence of winning lies in transforming the lives of other people through your message. Next, I will go back to the fundamentals of the LTS process. And I think this is the core. This is the secret sauce to be able to consistently win in table topics contest. The LTS process. So I will next go to the next lower level or detailed level. So listen, what is the seed? Think, how can we best plant the seed? Speak, how to grow the seed. And I will end later after the Q&A with some concluding remarks. All right, so let's rock and roll. Let me first start with a golden question. And this question applies not just to table topics, but even to international speeches, evaluation speeches, and humorous speeches. Now, what's the golden question? I would like to ask you, what do you think is the most important component of public speaking? Because this is a very, very important prerequisite to have the proper mindset in winning contests. So to give you a clue, the answer can be found in the question. So I would like to invite you to please unmute your mic and just say aloud your answer to the question. What is the most important component of public speaking? Yes?
The public?
The public? Okay. Any more answers?
To get the audience.
To get the audience? Very good. Yeah. Any more?
The way you deliver your message, it's the speaking, the way you deliver your message.
The way you deliver your message, right? Yes, indeed. That helps.
Component.
Component. The component of the speech, I believe. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great answers. Great answers. Anything more? More answers? Going once, going twice, going thrice. Okay. The most important component of public speaking, and I learned this from our international speech champion, PM Ned, is the public. Let me say that again. The most important component of public speaking is the public, not the speaker. Not the speaker, it is the public. I learned this through Toastmasters. Before, when I would deliver speeches, before I joined Toastmasters, I was so conscious of myself. Whether I look good, whether I have the proper attire, whether my enunciation was good, whether I took a bath before the speech. Well, all of these are important, but when you are on the stage, it is important to keep in mind that you are there to add value to the audience. Again, when you are on the stage, you are there to add value to the audience. And that brings us to the most important component of public speaking, which is the public. Now, let's keep that in mind as we go along, because this is one very powerful truth that can launch us to the proper perspective in winning consistently the table topics contest. Right. Now, for us to better appreciate table topics, let us have some impromptu speaking 101 notes review. So as we all know, an impromptu speech by definition is one that the speaker delivers without any prior preparation on the topic itself. Now, impromptu itself means doing something without preparation. So as we have learned through TMED before we started the session, during our introduction, there are a myriad of benefits that having skills in impromptu speaking or in table topics will add in our lives. So what are those benefits? If we have developed the skill of impromptu speaking or table topic speaking skills, we will ace our interviews. We will answer the Q&A portion excellently. We will have value-adding conversations. For our lady Toastmasters, you will win in beauty pageants by answering the questions effectively. For those who are doing hosting, table topic speaking skills plays a lot of role in this conduct. And of course, in public speaking, during ad-libs and killing the dead air, so to speak, okay, table topic speaking skills adds a lot of value. So more than the contest, it is what it can do outside Toastmasters that table topic speaking skills can really be valued at. Okay, so as they say, we join Toastmasters so that we can be better outside Toastmasters. With this, I would like to go to the soul, the why of knowing how to deliver a table topic speech. Let me start by saying that every message can sow a seed, like the message in your table topic speech. It is a seed that can grow to inform, inspire, or empower the listeners. An impromptu speech can convey a message that will transform the recipient in varying degrees, in different degrees. Because again, going back to the most important component of public speaking, which is the public, the intent of our message is to transform the public. Okay? That is the key intent. That's why the way we deliver our table topic speeches should be done in a way so as to positively transform the audience. Now, the degree of transformation depends on the delivery of the message through the LTS process. So, again, every consistent achievement always utilizes the fundamentals of a certain process. So, let me go to the LTS. So, what is LTS? LTS simply means listen, think, speak. Listen intends to answer what is the seed. So it's like, public speaking is like planting a seed that you would want to grow in the hearts and the minds of your listeners. And you start first by listening, by knowing what is the seed, what is the message that I would want to convey to the audience. Then think, how can I best plant that seed in the hearts and minds of the audience? And finally, speak. Grow the seed through my delivery of that message as I add value to the audience. LTS. Listen, think, speak. Let me first deep dive on listen. I have this popular quote which goes, most of the problems in this world arise because we listen with the intent to reply and not with the intent to understand. And indeed, this is very true. Before I joined Toastmasters, whenever I would talk to someone, especially in discussions, while the other person is speaking, my mind was already busy preparing my answers, preparing my rebuttals to the points of the other person. And in Toastmasters, I've learned the value of really listening with the intent to understand and not with the intent to reply. So listen emphatically by losing yourself. In the context of the Table Topics contest, when the contest chair shares the talking point, listen emphatically. Next, think, how can I best plant the seed or organize my thoughts to drive home my message? It is said that the mind was designed to think through patterns. And these patterns, good for us in Toastmasters, we have the speech patterns, which we can use as framework in organizing our thoughts. Let me say that once again. The beauty of thinking in Toastmasters is that we are given speech patterns that can help us organize our thoughts, which I will again quickly share later, for we all know this. So in a contest, once the talking point is shared, or once the question is shared, you listen emphatically, and then after that, quickly dissect the talking point, the seed, across your known and preferred patterns that can best explain your point. My personal favorite is the prep, because it is very structured. It starts with a hook and ends with a bang. But as we all know, we are not limited to prep. We can use different speech patterns, and we can actually combine all of these speech patterns. But at least as a starting point in organizing your thoughts, you can scan across these speech patterns. After that, quickly recall a relevant life story, reflect, repository. Now, I would like to emphasize on this point. In the John Maxwell team, one common quote is that each of us has a superpower. And our superpower is our unique life story. Because nobody can dispute your unique life story. And it is coming from that in the context of a Tabletopics contest, I would like to encourage everyone, if you really want to consistently win, I would like to encourage everyone to take time to reflect on your life experiences. Now, this is a trade secret, but I am sharing this to you because you are part of my Division K family and Toastmasters family. What I do, I have this Excel sheet, which contains the several chapters of my life, starting when I was in kindergarten, and that was 20 years ago, just kidding. Kindergarten, all the way up to the present. Now, in that Excel sheet, I divided it into the distinct chapters of my life, kinder, grade 1, grade 2, all the way to the present year. And in each chapter, I simply write down, or actually type in the Excel sheet, the significant event in that chapter of my life. Now, I do this because this is my way of reflecting on my life so far, because I know that when contest season comes, especially in Tabletopics, I can dig into this treasure chest of life experiences and use this to support my point when delivering my Tabletopics piece. This is what I call reflect and repository. Daily I reflect, and that Excel sheet is my repository of life experiences with the lessons learned. So likewise, I would like to encourage you to have this. You can journal, you can have your own diary, but please take time to reflect on your life experiences. Because more than the contest, having an inward journey in your life experiences will always help you to grow as a better person. But in the context of a contest, this will serve a powerful punch. Your life story will serve a powerful punch when delivering your Tabletopics piece. Listen, think. Now, I mentioned earlier, when we think, we organize our thoughts, and one good way of organizing our thoughts is through the known speech patterns. I believe you all know this. I will not delve into the details, but I would suggest that when you are organizing your thoughts, you start with one speech pattern. In my case, I start with a prep and see if it is the best pattern that I can use to expound on my message with reference to the talking point or the question. Next, speak. So you listen to the talking point intently, then you organize your thoughts, you thought by thinking. Now it's time to deliver the message, okay? To grow the seed in the hearts and minds of your listeners. Speak, grow the seed. Now, this is where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. Your starting message, your first few words should be able to hook your audience, to grab the attention of your audience. So how do you do that? You hook your audience by stating your point or answering the question directly. And from my experience, this is very effective because in Tabletopics, we are only given 2 minutes and maximum of 2 minutes, 30 seconds to engage our audience. So that's why when answering a talking point or when expounding a talking point or answering a question, do not beat around the bush. Okay? Do not beat around the bush. Answer the question directly. Strike while the iron is hot, so to speak, so that you can hook the audience and grab their attention. And as you expound, leverage on your story to support your point, and end with a thought or a call to action. This is, I would say, my personal suggestion. Always end with a thought or a call to action, because in this way, you can end with a bang. And you leave something for the audience to do, or something for the audience to think about. Now, if you would notice, on the right side of the slide, there are two pictures. One is the flower. The flower represents the seed that was sown and that was grown in the hearts of your listeners as you delivered your table topic speech. But below it is a stethoscope. Can everybody please unmute your mic and say stethoscope?
Stethoscope.
Okay. Let me ask you this question. Why do you think is there a stethoscope in this diagram, in this slide? What does it represent?
For you to listen.
Yes, for you to listen, to hear, okay? Hear, okay?
For you to monitor and continuously monitor on the progress of your speech and
Yes.
reaction
To know
of
what's
the
in
audience.
to know what's in a person's heart.
To know what's in a person's heart. Well, excellent answers. I think you're all pro-mill babies. You're all pro-mill kids. You're very intelligent. Ako kasi hugas-bigas yung ininom ko dati ng bata ako. Just kidding. There is a stethoscope here because precisely, while you are speaking, it's not a one-way street. A stethoscope is used to diagnose the vital signs of a patient, right? In the same token, when you speak, you must continuously diagnose the mood of the audience in an in-person contest, or in a virtual background, since we cannot see our audience, you must continuously diagnose how you are progressing in terms of your delivery. I know this is tough because you're speaking at the same time you're diagnosing, but it takes some practice. The purpose of diagnosing is in an in-person contest so that you can see the reaction of your audience, whether you're really getting their attention and really adding value to them. In a virtual environment, the purpose of this is for you to diagnose yourself. What do I mean by that? Diagnose yourself by asking this question in your subconscious while you are delivering your tabletop speech. The other golden question. Is what I'm saying still coherent to the talking point? Is what I'm saying still answering the question that was raised? Because I have observed this in Tabletopics contests. Initially, a contestant can be saying the right things that is very much linked to the talking point. But as he or she goes on, he or she sometimes gradually drifts away from the main point, and thus is not able to provide the needed content or message of the Tabletopics speech. That's why it's a continuous cycle. It's a continuous simultaneous cycle. The stethoscope should be used always to diagnose ourselves. Is what I'm saying still coherent to the main talking point? Okay, so listen, think, speak, the LTS process, okay? Now, more tips and tricks, okay? I will even share more tips and tricks here. First, in the listen. When you listen to the talking point, or when you listen to the question, listen in such a way that you lose everything in this world and you just focus entirely on the talking point. Get rid of any problems at work, get rid of any problems at home, as an example, and just imagine yourself and the talking point as the only living things in this world. That is the power of one. Your attention should be focused only to one, and that's the talking point for the question. Okay? Now, when I joined the District 75 finals in Cebu last 2019, last year, and after I delivered my tabletop speech, I was doing post-mortem. I was asking myself, how could I have done better? I can clearly remember the talking point. It goes this way. Man makes mistakes, but a mistake does not make a man. Let me say that again. Man makes mistakes, but a mistake does not make a man. Now, what happened there was that I only captured the first part of the talking point. Man makes mistakes. But I was not able to capture the latter part. Mistakes make a man. That's why, and that happened because I was not listening properly, as I recall. I was so excited to say my answer that I was not able to expound the second part of the talking point. That's why it's very important to really listen, and listen with the intent to fully and completely understand. More than think. Take your time, pause for 5 seconds. When the talking point is shared or the question is shared, I would recommend not to answer directly or immediately rather. Take time to pause at least for 5 seconds. Allow your 5 senses to settle down, relax. Let your entire being be marinated by the talking point or question. Okay? Allow the question to fully permeate every fiber of your being. And then, grab the first sensible point or thought and story that enters your mind. And always remember, focus on one key point to leave with your audience. As Stephen Covey would say, begin with the end in mind. While you're thinking, ask yourself, what one key point would I want to leave with the audience? And work around that one key point. In Toastmasters, the common phrase would be, less is more. Less is more. And that is very, very powerful. That's very true. Before, I had this tendency to really pack in my speech lots of details because I want to say many things. But the secret in delivering an impactful speech is less is more. Focus on one key point that you would want your audience to remember, and then expound from that one key point using the different speech patterns of your choice. Listen, think. Let's now go to speak. Verbalize aloud the talking point before delivering your piece. Now, some other Tabletopics winners do not recommend this. In my case, I personally recommend this. Why? Again, going back to the Cebu incident. In that finals contest in Cebu for the 675, I did not do this. And since I did not do this, I was not able to, once again, refresh myself. What was the complete talking point? Again, because I was so excited to answer, I answered directly. So I was not able to expound on the second part of the talking point, which man does not make mistakes, do not make a man, but man makes mistakes. I was only able to expound on the mistakes that make a man. I was not able to expound on the man makes mistakes. So by verbalizing, this is what I did as a corrective action to that gap. I verbalize the talking point or question so that it will fully marinate my mind, and so that I can answer it completely, not to miss any salient points. So allows for the talking point question to fully permeate your entire being, helps guarantee that you're able to respond completely to the talking point and the question, and not to forget when speaking, the opening, the body, and the conclusion encapsulated in your chosen speech pattern. Content is king, but once again, less is more. Of course, let's not forget the gestures, eye contact, vocals, etc. Okay? So, in the previous learning sessions in other clubs, I was always asked, T and Julius, when do you start preparing for the Tabletopics contest? My answer is today. You start preparing today by taking time to reflect on your life experiences. Because doing so, this will be stored in your treasure chest of life lessons, which you can pull out anytime, okay, when you are participating in a Tabletopics contest. Now, here's another tip. I have not shared this in other clubs where I was invited to give a learning session, but I will share this with you. One thing that I do 2 weeks prior to the contest is I have this app in my phone. This is an app on inspirational quotes. So let me just show to you. Okay. What I do 2 weeks before the contest is I practice my mental muscles by taking time daily to focus on a quote and imagine that this is the talking point in the Tabletopics contest. what I do 2 weeks before the contest is I practice on 5 quotes a day. So I have one, then I can have another one here, okay? So 5 quotes a day. Well, you can have your own style. You can also use an app, or you can read through Facebook. There are a lot of inspirational quotes, but in my case, it helps. So I'm sharing this to you, this trade secret, so to speak, so that it can also help you. It might help you in consistently winning the Tabletopics contest, okay? Now, before we go to the workshop, this is my last slide for the workshop. Again, the secret sauce in consistently winning the Tabletopics contest is following the LTS process. Listen emphatically, think and organize your thoughts using the speech patterns, and deliver impactfully. Okay, let me first stop sharing, and now let's go to our workshop. Okay, but before we do so, I would like to very quickly share some slides. Okay, to walk us through. So, for all of us, for our common alignment, the objective of the workshop is to be able to holistically answer the question, how can I consistently win in Tabletopics contest from the perspective of the judge, the timer, and the contestant? These 3 persons are the game changers in a contest. They can help determine whether you win or not. That's why it's important to be able to capture their perspective. So what will happen in your breakout session? 3 talking points will be given to the Tabletopics master for each breakout session. Number 2, 3 rounds of Tabletopics will be executed per group, care of the Tabletopics master. Number 3, 3 roles will be fulfilled in every round as follows: Tabletopics speaker, timer, and Tabletopics evaluator. Number 4, these roles will rotate per round so that each of you can have the chance to be the Tabletopics speaker, the Tabletopics evaluator or judge, and the Tabletopics timer. Okay? The Tabletopics master will remain as such all throughout, but the Tabletopics master can give his or her inputs. At the end of the 3 rounds, each group to summarize the top 3 key points learned to the workshop, care of the Tabletopics master. And the Tabletopics master will assign a presenter for the group, or the Tabletopics master himself or herself can also be the presenter. And then during the Q&A session, the presenter from 2 groups will be called by our Toastmaster of the day, Tim Eddie, or she will ask for volunteers to present the 3 key points. Okay? So, are you ready for the breakout session? Can I hear a loud yes?
Yes.
Yes! Yes! I love the energy. I can feel your passion to win consistently in the Tabletopics contest. So now,
1 participant left.
okay, so now, let me just give these 3 guide questions, okay? When you are the evaluator or judge during your breakout session, ask yourself, from the perspective of a judge, how can I consistently win in Tabletopics contests? When you take on the role of the timer, ask yourself, from the perspective of a timer, how can I consistently win in Tabletopics contests? And finally, when you take on the role of a Tabletopics speaker, ask yourself, from the perspective of a Tabletopics speaker, how can I consistently win in Tabletopics contests? Okay, so let's hit the road running. Let's rock and roll. I'll now stop sharing, and I'll give the floor to our Zoom master to assign us in our respective breakout sessions. Enjoy learning and learn to enjoy. Zoom master princess, the floor is yours.
Okay, I'll just be distributing because there are other participants who left already.
Hello.
Because you crucified us in the Tabletopics workshop. You know, Sir Julius, fear is real, right? When you conduct the plenary a while ago, it's just like Tabletopics is a walk in the park. But in the workshops, like we are perspiring, you know, massively. So how do you calm yourself, especially during division or district contest, how do you deal with fear? Because it will always be there. It will inevitably, leave you. So how do you calm yourself and be at the moment? Be present at the moment, and you can really do the things that you've been talking at the plenary.
Yes. Thank you, Teacher Joy. I would like to start by saying that fear has two meanings. FEAR, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. Friends, fellow Toastmasters, all of us experience fear, including me, even at this point in time in every contest. But one thing to keep in mind is that it's normal to experience fear. And the key there is to face the fear and not run away from it. Now, from a practical point of view, this is where the 5 seconds that I shared earlier in our plenary will come into play. When you hear the talking point, just breathe in, allow the talking point or the question to enter your mind, and calm yourself through the discrete breathing. And once you have that, you acknowledge your fear, but you decide intentionally and deliberately that I will overcome this fear and rise, and then I will deliver my talking point. The surrounding practical tips would be, mentioned earlier, have a good sleep, avoid drinking too much caffeine before the contest, have a good meal if you feel best when you have a full stomach. Personally, I make it a point to have a good meal before a contest because I can think clearly when I am well fed, so to speak. Okay? And lastly, remember that your opinion is neither right nor wrong. Whatever you say in a contest is neither right nor wrong. You will not be judged, and it is your own unique opinion. So there is nothing to fear when it comes to having a wrong answer. Because table topics is all about opinions. Table topics is about facing everything and rise fear. Teacher Joy.
That's right. The public speaking champion. He just won champion today. Thank you, Master Julius.
Very structured.
Our speaker.
Very structured answer. Another question, please. Thank
Yes,
you,
more questions?
Master Joy, for the teacher Joy. Yes.
Yes, please.
Yeah. AD Julius, my question is like, what are we going to do if you read the question or the code for a couple of times, yes, but then you can't, it seems that you can't comprehend it and you can't digest it, and no matter how, there's a pressure of time, there's peer pressure, and then it doesn't, the things that you're reading doesn't sink in. How are we going to go about it?
Okay. That's a very important question because I experienced that before. Now, if you go back to what I shared earlier during the plenary, that it is important to listen so that you will be able to completely capture the talking point, I would like to start my answer from that principle. When I started in table topic sessions in the club, I was not always able to really capture the entire talking point, similar to what you're saying, Tia Mizel. And even if I kept on listening to the talking point, still I cannot really marinate my mind with the entire essence of the talking point. What I do is I just grab any one word from the talking point. If it's a quote, just grab one quote. Example, experience is the best teacher. If I cannot comprehend that quote, I will just grab one word, experience. And then I will expound from that word and touch base on my own unique life story, life experience to talk about the power of experience. Okay? I may not be able to explain why it is a teacher, but I can explain that all of us have life experiences, and it is what we do with these experiences that can add value to us and add value to other people. So just, if you cannot capture the entire talking point, just focus on one word and then expound on that word. And then in the process, it will be a gradual process that slowly you'll be able to finally connect everything to the entire phrase. Now, it takes practice. As they say, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. Yes. It takes practice in every club meetings. That's why I would highly encourage everyone to volunteer in table topics in every club meetings, because that's one good venue for us to really practice all of this practical tips that I have shared to you. Okay? So Rome was not built in a day. Rome was built for many years. So likewise, we grow in our skills through a process, not in a day, but by doing it daily. So I hope I answered your question, Tia Mizel.
Very much so. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for the question and of course for the answer. Another question from the audience for our participants, from anyone in this room. Any question?
Yeah, we can have one more.
One more.
Okay, I have one question.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, what can you suggest if you have a good start, good opening, but in the middle you get lost, you don't know what to say next. But what can you suggest from me?
Okay. If you go back to the plenary session, in one of my slides, I mentioned there about so the LPS, listen, think. In the think, I have there a line which goes the power of one. Okay. As Stephen Covey would say, begin with the end in mind. When you are doing the listening and then you did listening, then you think, the first thing that you should think about when you are in the contest stage is, what one key message would I want to leave the audience after I leave the stage? Again, what key point or key message would I want the audience to digest, to remember once I leave the stage? That's very important because that will dictate how you will flow your speech. So you start by thinking, begin with the end in mind. What one key point will I want the audience to remember? Then you work back. Now, going to the question, what will you do if you forget? That is the power of the one key message. Because let's say you're delivering an extemporaneous speech. You had a good start, it was great, you hooked the audience, very good hand gestures and vocal variety. And then in the middle, suddenly you were sidetracked. Okay? First, practical tip, keep calm. It's not the end of the world. Okay? Keep calm. Breathe in discreetly. So, I mean, when I say breathe in, inhale. You know, there is a very practical benefit of that because, as they say, when you breathe in, you allow oxygen to fully marinate your brain. And when oxygen really permeates your brain, your memory cells start to work. And it helps you remember the last point that you mentioned. Now, if in case you still do not remember, try to ask yourself, when I started the thinking process, the LTS, the T, the thinking, what was that one key point that I wanted to leave with the audience? Then once you recall that, then try to connect your last statement with that one key point that you would want to leave your audience. Then you will be back on track. You know, that happened to me in one of the club Tabletopics sessions. I got sidetracked in the middle, but I just tried to breathe in. And then I tried to remember what is that one key point that I would want to leave to the audience when I leave the stage. And then suddenly, through the help of the oxygen in my brain and remembering the one key point, my memory started coming back. Okay? And I was able to continue and deliver my speech, my tabletop speech. Okay? So I hope I answered your question, TM Jerby.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yes?
TM Julius, I have a little question.
Sure, TM.
I want to learn that end with a bang. And then I want to say it in a quote, but I forgot the quote. What will I do to end with a bang when I delivered my tabletop speech?
Okay, thank you, TMG, for that answer. Yes, again, important. This is Pogi points in a contest, right? Start with a hook, end with a bang. How do you end with a bang? You can end in several ways. You can end with a quote, as mentioned by TMG. But if you forgot the quote, you can end with a call to action. So let's say the question was, how do you face your fears? Let's say that's the question. Then you started speaking, you started sharing your life story. Then one way of ending it is end with a call to action. You can say, friends, fellow Toastmasters, all of us experience fear. But the key here is how do you face your fear? Will you forget everything and run? Or will you face everything and rise? The choice is yours. You can end that way. So you leave them with a choice for something for them to think about. Notice I did not say any quote. It was not a quote, it was just an acrostic, but I ended with a call to choose one of the two definitions of fear. Forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. The choice is yours. Then you end there. Back to you, contest chair. In that way, you ended with a bang. You ended with a call for the audience to make a choice. Something for them to do after you have delivered your speech. So I hope I answered your question, Tim Jean.
Yes, yes, T.R. Julius, thank you.
All right. And that ends our question and answer portion. Thank you to end it with a bang, Toastmaster Jean and Toastmaster Julius.
All right.
And
Thank
now,
you.
before we formally go to the next part of the program, I would like to return the floor to,
Excuse me,
yes?
there's beautiful Maybell who's really aggressively raising her hand.
Oh, sure, sure.
Can I just add one for Julius? Yeah, because this is just in addition to what TMG mentioned. I was having the same thoughts earlier.
Hello, TM.
Oh, that's okay po. Yeah, it's my first time, but I'm really learning a lot. My question is to the point of not forgetting a quote. Sir, you mentioned earlier that it's good to have a repository of stories. As something you can prepare before your Toastmasters table topics later on. Can you say that it's also good to have a repository of some quotes and memorize some, at least in preparation?
On a practical side, yes. What I do, again, this is a tip I have not shared to other clubs who have invited me to provide this learning session. What I do is, remember I mentioned about an Excel sheet. In that Excel sheet, I write down the several key events in my life, starting from kinder to the present moment. In every chapter of my life, I have an applicable quote. I do not memorize it, but I just read it regularly. So it's more of practice to internalize and not to memorize. You know, when you reflect and you try to extract the key lesson in that particular event in your life, the moment you reflect and the moment you attune yourself to that key lesson, gradually you will be able to memorize the quote naturally. So it became a mnemonic quote because you internalized it and not the other way around, that you memorized it and then it became internalized. For me, natural works best. So it's more of really reading the quote, internalizing it, and as a result, it is something that I can remember when the time comes for me to remember. Yeah. So the answer, Mabel, is yes, but I would suggest not to memorize, but internalize the quote and see how it applies to your life's lesson. In that way, you can remember it more clearly and permanently. So I hope I answered your question, Mabel.
Yes. Thank you for that. I know that we have a lot of questions in mind because of this very interesting topic. But for the interest of time, I would just like to ask everyone to send your private message to Toastmaster Julius if there are more questions so that we can proceed to the next part of the program, if that would be okay for our participants. Okay, with this, I would like to turn over the floor again to Toastmaster Julius before we go to the next part of the event.
Okay, thank you very much, Chen. And just some quick concluding slides before I formally end my presentation. Okay. All right. So concluding points. Every table topic speech is an
Toastmaster
opportunity.
Julius, we're seeing a different slide. Okay.
Okay, let me share that again. Okay. Can you now see my slide? Okay. So as a way of concluding, every impromptu speech is an opportunity to know, sow, and grow a transformational seed for the audience. The impact of this process is best determined by how you maximize the process of listening, thinking, to organize, and speaking. So once again, the LTS process. It is when your LTS allows you to know the seed, to sow the seed, and grow the seed in the hearts of your listeners that you are able to connect with your audience, with the public, which is the most important component of public speaking. And when you connect, you transform the listener, And when you transform the listener positively, you add life to the world. Okay, with this, I would like to end with a quote on transformational message, but this is more of a quote on a winning message. The real essence of winning is not in the trophies, medals, or titles. It is knowing that you made a positive difference in the life of your listeners through a constructive, transformational, and empowering message. Now, with that, I would like to acknowledge whom I consider my Table Topics mentors. And first is DTM Ryan and Cabo, one of our Division K Toastmasters stalwarts. And of course, our national treasure, the one who will be giving our closing remarks, TM Nomen Ilongos. I learned a lot from these two Toastmasters, which I believe have been foundational in my growth in table topic speaking skills. And coming from that, yeah, if you have further questions or you need further information or support, feel free to contact me. All the details are here. And I would just want to end with this slide. Now, from a practical point of view, I just want to share the benefits of Toastmasters. Because of Toastmasters, I was able to join the John Maxwell team and be a certified coach, speaker, and trainer. And especially the table topic skills were very important as I went through a one-year training in the John Maxwell team. With that, thank you very much, everyone. And I look forward that we add value to other people through our powerful messages in our table topic speeches. Thank you very much, and back to you, Toastmaster of the Day, Ken Eddie.
All right, thank you, Toastmaster Julius. That's indeed very interesting as we forget about the time. We exceed by 13 minutes, but indeed this is a value-adding session to learn the LTS technique on consistently winning table topics. And now to end with a bang. To end with a bang, I would like to introduce for the closing remark, we have from District 75 lead trainer. Let us all welcome Toastmaster Nomel Gilongos.
Okay.
Yay.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Eve. Fellow Toastmasters, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, thank you for joining us this afternoon. And without doubt, I am very certain that we all be leaving this webinar enriched with not only with the knowledge, but with the skill of how to tackle impromptu speaking. And if you are a Toastmaster, I am very confident that this time you will no longer fear table topics, but instead you would embrace it as if it's part of your being. See, impromptu speaking is very important, not only as a Toastmaster, but as a human being, because impromptu speaking is part of our daily rigors, or let's say part of our daily lives. When you wake up in the morning, when you greet your spouse, when you talk to your kids, your children, when you talk to your housemates, when you go out of the house and greet your neighbors, when you enter your workplace and talk to your workmates, in your community, in the supermarket, everywhere you go, anywhere you go, you will have to tackle impromptu speaking. Impromptu speaking or spontaneous speaking is something that we have to do every day, all the time, every time. There is no turning back. And if we can master the skills necessary to speak impromptu or with little or no preparation at all, imagine how far we can go and how far we can achieve, the breadth and the spread of what we can achieve in our lives. So, to Toastmaster Julius, Area Director Julius, our impeccable Division K impromptu speaking champion, thank you very much for wholeheartedly sharing your wisdom and your experience with all of us this afternoon. And to everybody who stayed all through the conclusion of today's event, thank you very much. And we will be very happy and excited to see you in the Table Topics contest of Toastmasters. You see, Division K in District 75 has always been proud of its achievements in competitions, especially in impromptu speaking. Now that AD Julius can no longer compete because he's area director, we expect that new champions will emerge and take the cudgels of our division and raise the banner, not only of Division K, but of every Toastmaster in District 75, to tell the world that in our organization, we develop confidence and we develop confidence in speaking impromptu. Good afternoon, God bless, and speak impromptu. Back to you, Toastmaster Lee.
Wow, I am amazed by that closing remark. Indeed, we will end with a bang with that closing remark. Thank you very much to all our role takers. And indeed, we have a very, very nice learning experience for today with the help of our trainer. And for everyone, I would like to invite everyone to please open up your cameras for a group picture before we say goodbye.